What's up, everybody? Oh, hello, Mr. Microphone. Let me pull you over here. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Snack Time. My name is Ben, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a really cool little chat program called Kath. Let's check it out. Kath is basically what they describe it as is a lightweight, retro-style, ephemeral chat application with a small twist. You can see what other people in the room are typing. So one thing that I think is really super cool about this is that you can basically host one of these little chat programs, and the chat only exists in the browser while you're having that conversation. So like if you refresh your browser, the chat history goes away. If you pop into the room kind of mid chat or something, you don't see any history. So it's very kind of secrety, hush hush, like privacy chat. I think it's kind of cool. And it also supports images. Well, let me show you a little bit about the program, and then I'll show you how to get it spun up on your own server using Docker and Nginx Proxy Manager. A little bit of Portainer, but unfortunately we're going to have to build this in the command line, so you'll get to be a little nerdy today. Nothing wrong with that. Let's check out their demo. So if we go to here and we type in our name, so I'm going to say Ben, and the room is going to be called Snack Time. So when we join, it says we're connected, and it says we're the only ones in the room. If I do the same thing on my another browser, on incognito, let's say Bob and Snack Time, and there we go. Bob has entered the room. So we can basically type in, oh, hi Bob, hi Bob, and when he responds, hello Ben. I haven't even hit enter yet, so I'm still typing. I'm still typing, and there it goes. And like I said, you can also put images here. So if you wanted to like hit the image button and like put a picture of, like, there we go. It's kind of pixely. However, you can save it here and it will be the full blown image. So it won't be something that would be like pixely. I think the only thing you can add here is images, if I am not mistaken. Yeah, nothing else shows up. So just images, and that's okay. So you're not going to be transporting files back and forth. But one cool thing is, like, so check it out. I have some history here. If I hit refresh, it will rejoin me to the room. However, no history. That's all wiped. So that's not retained or recorded anywhere like outside of the Docker file. So let's do this. That's pretty much it. It's pretty straightforward, right? I'm going to now show you how to get it set up, and to get it working behind an Nginx Proxy Manager. Transparent proxy is going to take a little bit of work. We're going to kind of deviate a little bit from the developer, but not too much, and I'll show you why in a second. All right, so in order for us to do this, let's back up a little bit. And what we're going to have to do is, instead of using Portainer to deploy this, we are going to be building it, and we're going to be starting by pretty much cloning this this entire repository right here. So we're going just to copy this URL at the top. We're going to copy that guy, and we're going to open up our terminal. And this is assuming we're already SSH'd into our server. If not, pause the video and go ahead and do that. All right, so now let's do this. Let's get and then clone and then paste that URL so that we can download everything. It's going to put it in the Kath folder, so we're going to change directory to Kath, and let's just do a simple little ls-l, which will list the contents of this folder. One thing that you'll notice is we were missing our .env file and some other ones, and that is because anything that starts with a period in Linux is automatically a hidden file. If you want to view those hidden files, very easy, hit ls-a and then l, and there are our hidden files, which we will be needing to edit actually. So in order for this to work, it's a little funny, and I've made the corrections for you, and I want to show them to you. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and go to GitHub, Snack Time, and let's pull up our YouTube repository and YouTube and look for Kath. So we're going to need to make some changes to our Docker file, and I'll show you what those changes are. Not too much craziness really is going to happen. For this, I'm going to use nano. So let's nano docker -compose YAML. And by default, I'll show you the differences. So our client app, our client URL is going to stay the same. That's fine. However, if we look right here, I have changed our Viti socket server URL to a different one. I've renamed it to server _URL. So let's do that in our one that we have on our server. And I'll explain to you why in a second. Just going to do this server, easy. And I'm going to comment out these ports right here because I don't need them. I do need to remember that this front end listens on port 80. So we'll need that when it comes to Nginx Proxy Manager. I'm going to put a hashtag or pound symbol in front of ports and the dash port right there so that it's not just listening on the internet. I don't want it to do that. I want to run all my traffic through Nginx. All right, once that is done, that is pretty much all that we really need to do. Let's make sure, I don't know why that little red thing is in there. I'm going to back over that. All right, so let's take a look at this. Let me show you what we're going to be working with. Very first off, we're going to be building our image right there. We're going to be specifying our client URL, which is a variable in our .env file, which I'll show you in a second. We're also going to make some changes to that, very brief. Our container name is going to be Kath backend. This is going to be our server. The node environment is going to be production, and we are going to create our own network. I'm going to call it app-network. I think it'll end up being kath-app.network. So don't worry about it being so generic. And next up, we have our front end. It's also going to be building, and we're going to be using a different URL that's in our env file called server _URL. And we're going to be calling this front end. We're going to be depending on the back end to be operational before the front end will fire up. So very easy. And then lastly, we are creating our network at the very bottom of this file. So again, very straightforward. Not a lot of moving pieces to this, but I will save you some headache in the future by making this change. All right, so let's go ahead and Control X and hit save, yes, and enter, yes, perfect. Now we need to edit our nano.env file. So let's go back to our GitHub page. So I'm going to go to Kath, and I'm going to go to .env sample. And you'll see that the one that we have on our server and the one that I have on my GitHub is very similar, except I specified the server URL down here at the bottom. So what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and copy this guy, and I'm going to go and just paste him at the bottom. And for my my app URL, I'm going to remove where it says localhost, and I'm just going to paste my the URL that I want to use. For my port, I am going to change it to 444. I don't know that it actually makes a difference. However, this has worked for me, so let's just keep it a uniform, keep it the same. You will be changing this URL to what you want yours to be. Also, I'm going to make sure mine says HTTPS. So why are we doing it this way? Honestly, it's kind of weird, but basically the client needs to be able to contact the server on a certain port. Also, it needs to be able to know what to expect traffic to be coming in on. Like, we're telling it this is going to be the traffic that you're going to actually, like, this is going to be our URL that people are going to go to, not this one with this port, even though the server runs on the same one. Trust me, it doesn't make much sense, but it works, and that's all that matters. I'll just go ahead and do a Control X and then save yes, and then enter. Now we need to build it. We're going to go ahead and use docker-compose and then space up and then -d. If for some reason this command does not work for you, it may be that you did not install it. If you need to install it on a Ubuntu or Debian version of Linux, Real easy to do. It's just app space install space docker dot compose and just hit enter and let it install. I already have mine, so I don't need to do that. I'm going to do up then -d, and that basically runs it in detached mode. If you want to run it and see all the events and the logs and everything else that runs with it, you can remove the -d. However, when you bail out of that window, it's going to also stop the Docker containers. That's why I add the -d, so it'll just keep running them. Hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, hit me up in the comments. Ask me what. It's me. Why does it do it that way? All right, so we've created our 2 images and they are running. We can verify that by going to our Portainer and going under containers, and we see that both of our front end and back end are running. Now we can view the events here and we can see that everything is hunky-dory. Next up, we need to make sure that Nginx Proxy Manager is joined to the same network as these 2 guys. So I'm going to make myself smaller and I'm going to go into my Nginx Proxy Manager container here. And I'm going to drop this network down and I'm going to click on the Kath_app and then hit join. All right, that put me on the same network. So now my Nginx Proxy Manager can communicate with my 2 Kath containers, or at least the one with the front end. I could probably do both, I guess. All right, now we need to set up our subdomain so that people will have a place to go to use our chat program. I am going to create a new A record. I'm using Namecheap for this. However, if you have something like GoDaddy or some other DNS server, we're simply creating an A record. And my A record is for SYNHOW. And basically whatever I type in here is going to go in front of SYNHOW. I'm going to do chat, and that will make my URL chat.synhow.com, which I kind of already established early on. And I'm going to point that to the external IP address of my server and save records. Alrighty. Next up is the configuration of our Nginx Proxy Manager. For this, we're just going to add a proxy host. I'm going to do my domain, and let's zoom a little bit so you can see it. synhow.com, enter. And now we need our host name / IP address. We do not want to use an IP address. That's just a pain in the butt. If we go back to Portainer and go to our containers, basically our host name is going to be this right here, this Kath-front end. That's going to be the container that's going to be receiving all of our traffic. So I'm just going to copy that name and I'm going to paste it here. One thing to make sure that there are no spaces. Check that little pesky space out right there. He is not going to make your life easy. Make sure he's all gone, as well as any ones that are behind you. The port we are going to be forwarding traffic to is port 80. If you don't remember, if you go back to our GitHub and our Docker Compose, we got that port right here. This is our port 80. This is the port that the container is expecting to see traffic on. And going back over here, over here, let's go type 80, block common exploits, enable WebSocket support, and save. All right, if we did everything correctly, which I think we did, we should be able just to click on this little button right there. Oh, one thing we almost forgot. We got to encrypt the traffic, dude. How could you let me forget that? Let's go to our little periods and go to edit. Let's go up to SSL. Let's drop this down and request a new certificate. I'm going to force SSL and I'm going to agree to the terms of service. I cannot believe you almost let me forget that. Man, you are slipping. That's okay. If this goes away, then we should be good to go. If you get an error message, best thing you can do is check the spelling, or may just not have had time to propagate. Also, if you're hosting this yourself, make sure port 80 and 443 are open. That will cause you to have a bad day with certificates from Let's Encrypt. Let's click on this chat.synhow.com. Here we go, we're on Kath. Let's do this. I'm going to type in bin and SYNACK time. All right, if you did everything right and everything is hunky-dory and happy, you should see connected at the top here. I have seen instances where you would basically get it spun up and everything, except that thing would just say disconnected. However, you would still have the the UI, but whatever you typed in here didn't show up. I just want to show you that we are operating on all cylinders. Let's have Bob join snack time too. Hey, Bob's here. No way, man. Oh, sad face. You ever seen somebody talk to themselves on YouTube? Oh, there you go. Now you have. All right, well, that's it. Easy peasy, right? So I love this because you can have like secretive chats and everything if you wanted to, and not have to worry about things being recorded, unless somebody figures out how to take a screenshot. Then don't put anything inappropriate in here. Too funny. All right, guys. Well, that pretty much sums up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it informative. Appreciate you spending some time with me today. If you do have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Otherwise, I would appreciate a like or a subscribe, either one or both. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys.